figure has risen by 44,000 in just 5 years.
People in Crowborough are checking their phones and seeing the same clip again and again. A van stalled, a narrow road, voices raised, police lights cutting across shop windows. 3 locals arrested. You can hear it in the footage. Not panic, not chaos. Anger that's been sitting there for weeks. This didn't feel sudden to the people standing there. It felt overdue. And that's why this moment matters more than the charges written on the police report. Earlier this week, during the afternoon, a van attempted to leave the asylum barracks in Crowborough. Locals stepped into the road. Some shouted, some filmed. Some just stood there with their arms out, blocking the way. Traffic slowed behind it. A delivery driver leaned out of his cab. Nearby shop shutters stayed half closed longer than usual. When police arrived, it wasn't instant. People noticed the time. They always do. 3 people were taken away. The crowd didn't scatter. Phones stayed up. The footage spread before the police cars had fully pulled away. This wasn't a flash protest. Crowborough has been protesting for 12 weeks. Same route, same meeting point, different numbers each time, sometimes dozens, sometimes more. People who didn't join at first started showing up later. People who said they wouldn't protest at all started turning up just to watch. Over 12 weeks, nothing changed. The barracks stayed open. Vans kept coming and going. And every week, the feeling hardened. What happened in Crowborough is happening across the country, just without the same attention. In Newcastle, outside the Holiday Inn, people have been gathering every Saturday since August. Same day, same time, 6 months straight. Some weeks, it's quiet. Other weeks, it spills into nearby streets. Locals say they recognize the same faces now. People bring flasks. Some bring kids for an hour and then leave. Last weekend, more than 200 people showed up. Police were already there before the chant started. The hotel in Newcastle is still operating. Rooms still occupied. Coaches still arriving. People protesting there say they've sent emails, written letters, asked for meetings. They say nothing comes back. 6 months of showing up every Saturday, and the only visible change is the size of the crowd. In Manchester, the Cedar Court Hotel has seen protests every Tuesday since September. 5 months, week after week. Sometimes 50 people, sometimes closer to 100. Office workers walk past on their way home. Some stop to listen. Some keep walking faster. The protest ends. The hotel stays open. Locals say the cost keeps being mentioned, but no one explains when it ends. Wakefield tells a similar story. Another Cedar Court. Protests since July. 7 months. Smaller numbers, but consistent. 30 to 50 people almost every week. People say consistency is the point. They've asked MPs to meet them. They say replies are delayed or never come. 7 months later, the hotel is still full. And this is where frustration starts to turn into something else. Because these aren't one-off rallies driven by social media buzz. These are people setting alarms, rearranging weekends, standing outside the same buildings again and again. When nothing moves for months, people stop believing the timeline they're given. Epping's Bell Hotel has been protested every Saturday for 5 months. Locals say early protests were calmer, smaller. Now they're bigger, around 400 some weekends. Police presence is heavier. Barriers go up earlier. After a serious criminal charge involving a resident of the hotel, the demand for closure intensified. The court decision didn't change that. If anything, it hardened positions. Week 20, still going. Across the country, there are around 197 asylum hotels still operating. That number hasn't shifted in a way people can feel. Communities were told closures were coming. By the end of Parliament, years away. To people living next to these hotels now, that doesn't feel like a plan. It feels like being asked to wait indefinitely. In Leeds, outside the Seacroft Hotel, protests continue. People ask the same questions each week. When does it close? Where do people go? Who decides? They say answers never come clearly. A march to Parliament is now being discussed. Some organizers say it's the only way to be heard. Birmingham has seen weekly demonstrations since October. Numbers have grown, 41 week, 80 the next. Locals say more people are talking about it in pubs and workplaces now. Petitions circulate. Promises are remembered. Closures don't arrive. Back in Crowborough, the Sunday march ran for hours, past homes, past shops, past people watching from doorways. Chants echoed longer than usual. People didn't rush off when it ended. They stayed, talked, planned. Other towns noticed. Portsmouth is organizing its first demonstration. Liverpool's weekly protests are now linking dates with other cities. Southampton has its first protest planned. Bristol continues weekly. Cardiff has joined in. Different councils. Same demands. Newcastle is now entering its 7th month. Locals say patience has gone. Talk has shifted. From asking questions to applying pressure. Blocking entrances is openly discussed. Making operations difficult is discussed. Not because people want disorder, but because they say calm protests changed nothing. Manchester organizers are planning actions on the same days as Crowborough. Wakefield and Leeds are coordinating too. Multiple cities, same weekend, same message. This is how movements form. Not overnight, over months. People notice how quickly some protests are dealt with and how long others are ignored. They talk about it openly. They share comparisons. They share clips. That comparison fuels resentment. Surveys showing most people want hotels closed immediately are shared widely online. People argue about numbers, but the direction is clear. Even those who support asylum say the hotel system isn't working. They want faster processing. Clear outcomes, not years of limbo. Wakefield organizers are now discussing sit-ins, occupying council offices until meetings happen, until answers are given. They say waiting politely hasn't worked. In Crowborough, the 3 arrested are known locally. People talk about who they are, what they do. A fundraiser appeared quickly, thousands raised in days. Support messages outnumber criticism. Community meetings followed. The arrests didn't cool things down. They sharpened them. Crowborough didn't start with blocked vans. It started with signs and marches. 12 weeks later, the tone has changed. Police presence is heavier. People are watching each other more closely. Other towns are watching too. Newcastle protesters say they'll keep coming every Saturday, however long it takes. Manchester says the same. Wakefield too. Epping too. Arrests don't end movements like this. They either break them early or strengthen them later. Last week in Newcastle, an MP passed a protest. Locals say questions were shouted, promises were mentioned, no answers came back. The MP left quickly. That moment spread almost as fast as the Crowborough footage. Another Crowborough march is planned, bigger turnout expected. People from other towns say they'll attend. Delegations are forming. What began as local frustration is now national coordination. Think about the scale. Nearly 200 locations, protests lasting months, coordinated dates, legal funds, shared messaging. This isn't noise, it's structure. Tuesday evening in Manchester, protests hit rush hour. Traffic slowed, horns sounded, some drivers shouted support, some shouted abuse. The point was made, pressure was felt. In Epping, police now appear in heavier gear some weekends. Shields visible, numbers higher, and still hundreds turn up. Birmingham's numbers keep rising. Southampton is about to start. Portsmouth follows. Cardiff continues. Liverpool links dates. Bristol doesn't stop. Everywhere, the message is the same. Close the hotels. Keep the promises. Stop delaying. Back in Crowborough, planning continues. Funds grow. Meetings happen. The barracks still operate. But patience is gone. People say this ends one of 2 ways. Either closures happen, or pressure keeps increasing. Weeks turn into months. Months into years if needed. Crowborough wasn't the beginning. It was a signal. Newcastle, Manchester, Wakefield, Epping, Birmingham, and others are already deep into this. The movement isn't fading, it's organizing. If you're watching and wondering why this keeps growing, it's because silence creates pressure, and pressure doesn't disappear on its own. Drop a comment. Should communities keep pushing or wait years longer? And if you want coverage you won't see elsewhere, subscribe and turn notifications on. This isn't going away.